Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so happy that I'm finally finding time to sit down and film this video. Life is so different. I'm officially a mom and it's the best thing in the world, but it's also such a life change, like completely. The concept of time is definitely very different than before, but we're here now and I'm very happy. This is a momentous occasion. But I wanted to talk to you guys about my birth story. I posted a video last week, which was a vlog where we actually filmed parts of my labor and delivery of our baby girl, Nalia Rose, who is now 2 weeks old. She is the cutest little thing ever. She's currently having one of her morning naps. I can see her on my phone through the monitor. But yeah, I posted my labor and delivery vlog last week. If you guys have not seen it yet, I will have it linked down below. But I wanted to share more in detail what exactly happened that day and how I felt and how labor was and delivery and all of that. And yeah, also just have a little bit of a catch up because I feel like so much has changed. I'm still trying to figure everything out. I'm very much still in the postpartum phase. But yeah, thought we would do a little birth story, a little catch up, and maybe also introduce you to our baby girl, pending how everything goes. This video might have to be filmed in parts. Okay, so let's chat about our birth. So before even going into labor and all of that, you guys know I did quite a lot of prep work. I really wanted to have a positive birth experience, a calm and peaceful birth, and obviously as least painful as possible. And I was also trying to do it as naturally as possible as well, with as little intervention. And I feel like all of that happened. Looking back, it was a very positive experience. It was definitely very intense and powerful. Like, it's not a walk in the park, but it was still manageable, and with the techniques that I learned, I feel like that made such a difference. So I officially went into labor on Tuesday, August 9th, which is the day that she was born. But on Monday, so August 8th, the day before, I was in, like, I don't know if they call it pre-labor or early labor, but it wasn't like established labor yet. It was very sporadic contractions that would come and go. Some lasted longer than others, some were more intense than others, and it was kind of like up and down. There was no consistency at all. So I really just tried to go about my normal day-to-day activities. I was working a little bit. I went for my walk. I think I even took a little nap as well. So just trying to keep my mind busy, because if you are constantly like searching for those contractions and thinking maybe this is like the real thing, it's kind of like watching water boil. But when I really started noticing that they were picking up a little bit was that evening. So on Monday evening, which is when I started the vlog, but I still wasn't sure if this was going to be anything, because I know that for a lot of people, they can have these kind of early like practice contractions and early signs of labor for days or even weeks before they actually go in to active labor. But because I was also so close to my due date, I thought that maybe this is it. And she was born on her due date as well, which is very cool, I think. So you guys saw when I started vlogging on Monday night, and then I was actually able to go to bed. I slept for maybe 5 hours or so, and then I woke up at around 2:45, like 3 a.m. and I was having contractions again. In the beginning, I was trying to sleep through them, or at least like stay in bed, keep my body like calm and rested. But at some point, I just had to get out of bed because they started getting pretty intense, to the point where I felt like I needed to start moving through them and like swaying through them, and laying down just wasn't comfortable. So I got up, actually came here, and I was leaning over this piece of the couch right here, and I was watching Gilmore Girls. That's actually what I was watching throughout my labor, which is a very like sentimental thing, because I've been watching that since like before I was pregnant, like just before I got pregnant. That's the show I started watching, and you guys know it's like my super chill, easy, fun show. Anyways, I was here on the couch leaning over watching Gilmore Girls, and also starting to time my contractions with the contraction app. I don't know what it's called, but I'll pop it in here. At this point, it felt like a little bit more of an intense kind of period cramp. So period cramps, normally I would say like you can kind of lay down for them, but at this point I needed to like move a little bit, sway a little bit, nothing intense, but I just felt like I couldn't sleep. A few hours passed. I was definitely tired, but I was also very excited and happy that it was finally here and that I could be meeting our baby girl in the matter of a few hours, or at least in the next day. So that gave me a lot of energy, even though I was like very tired because I hadn't slept fully. And contractions are also very exhausting. Like, it's like a whole workout for your muscles and for your body. By the time it was morning, the contractions were definitely a lot stronger and a little bit more in a rhythm. I think I was at like 7 to 8 minutes apart, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I knew in order to go to the hospital, they needed to be a little bit closer together. So I wasn't really thinking about heading out like straight away. And also I really wanted to labor at home for as much of my labor as possible. They say that you feel obviously like the most comfortable at home, you're in your own space, and labor is very much about letting go and feeling comfortable and just allowing your body to do its thing. See, I really wanted to stay home for as much as possible so that my body could open up, and then when it was time to go to the hospital, I could just go and push the baby out. That was my plan. So how I was dealing with the contractions, I was doing a few different things. The first was just listening to my body and just seeing what it intuitively wanted to do. And one of those things that it wanted to do was bounce and sway a little bit with my hips and my legs, like bouncing my knees a little bit like this. That really helped, and it was the only thing that I wanted to do through a contraction. I couldn't sit still, I couldn't stand still. Sitting down was completely out of the question. Like, that was just the most uncomfortable thing I could imagine, is sitting down. And then breathing. Breathing is what got me through my labor. I learned a lot about this in the prep work that I had done before giving birth, and breathing is one of the most important things. And that's really where my mind was. Like 90% of the time through the contraction was just staying on top of my breath. And I knew if I could keep my breath steady and breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 6 seconds, or breathing in for 4 seconds and out for 8 seconds, depending on like what you can, but basically having a little bit of a longer exhale, that helps with so many things. Number one, it helps you to stay focused on something and not let your brain or mind panic and get consumed by the pain or by the strong sensations. And secondly, it helps to provide lots of oxygen and relaxation for your muscles, because it's your muscles in your uterus that are doing all the work. And it's exactly like if you were doing a workout and you're lifting heavy weights or you're running. Your muscles need that supply of oxygen to work. So breathing was super important. It's such a simple thing, but wow, like it got me through. And also, with that said, making a sound or just intuitively connecting to how your body wants to breathe without feeling like judgment or feeling like you look silly, just seeing what your body wants to do, that really helped me as well, because it gave me like an audio thing to focus on. And also knowing that each contraction is about a minute long, just knowing in your mind that it's only going to last for 1 minute. And if you do like 4 of these breath cycles, 4 or 5 of these breath cycles, the contraction will be over. Another thing I did was read positive affirmations just a little bit before the contraction would start, like between my contractions. I looked over all of my birthing affirmations and I would repeat those to myself and try to keep those in my mind when the contraction came and remind myself of that. Some of my favorites were, my surges are powerful and strong, but so am I. I will breathe through this contraction. I will allow this contraction to work through me. When I'm relaxed, my body opens and my baby comes down and out. My breath is my baby's breath. And then I kept telling myself just to trust, relax, and allow. Just trust, relax, allow. And also just reminding myself that any progress is good progress. So every single contraction is bringing me closer to the end, to meeting our baby. So just having that positive mindset around it. It also helps to make you feel really happy, and it, like, even when it's super painful, it really does make a big difference to have something like that to focus on and not just be consumed by the sensation. And also just really reminding myself to trust my body and to let go, to know that it knows what it's doing. And even though it was the first time for me, like it's it's insane how your body is just so capable and so smart, and if you just get out of its way and you stay calm, or as calm as you can, it really knows what to do. I think the mind can often interfere with a lot of what the body is trying to do, so really just reminding myself of that as well was really helpful and felt really good, really empowering. And also one thing which I think is very important that Mo and I did, or that I did with Mo before I went into labor, and this was around like 30, I think I was 32 or 34 weeks, something like that. I sat down with Mo and we had a really long conversation about what I needed during labor, and I also just taught him a little bit about what I had learned in my birth prep courses. We watched some videos together, we watched breathing videos together. I told him about some of the positive affirmations that I would be telling myself and things that he could do to help me throughout the different stages of labor. I even had like a sheet, a prep sheet that I wrote like on my computer, which was very helpful for me just to like wrap my head around what is gonna happen during labor. But I also showed that to him. I told him how to do the double hip squeeze. I showed him a video on that, so that when the day comes, he knows how to really support me, and also that he doesn't like panic and lose control when I'm the one who needs a really like steady and strong person by my side that day. He knew how to support me, and he also felt like he had a positive role in that day, and that it wasn't just like him standing in the corner and not knowing what to do. This way he felt really involved, and I really did need him that day. And so when I did go into labor, he knew exactly what I needed. Okay, so getting back to the day, I think it was around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon where the contractions had reached a point where I think they were like 3 or 4 minutes apart, lasting for about a minute, but very intense. So I'd been laboring at home for like the whole morning and the afternoon, and then yeah, at around 4 or 5 p.m. we got in the car, as you guys saw in the vlog, and we headed to the clinic. And the contractions were very, very intense at this point. I even had one in the car. I was actually waiting before getting into the car like to have a contraction so that it wouldn't hopefully happen during like the car ride. So I was actually standing outside of the car door just waiting for the contraction, but no contraction came. So we just decided to get in the car, and like 20 seconds later, as you guys saw, I got a contraction. I had to get out of the car because it was the first contraction that I had where I wasn't able to move. I felt super claustrophobic and I panicked a little bit, but luckily the clinic is only like 5-6 minutes away from our home. So we made it there. As soon as we got out of the car, I had a really, really intense one. That was, I think I even cried through that one because it was very intense. Maybe because I had been like holding it in the car, I don't know, and it was like a double one. And yeah, when we got to the clinic, I was super excited to know how dilated I was. So that was one of the first things that we did. They also wanted to monitor the baby's heart rate, so they put this big band on me, and then she checked my dilation. And as you guys also saw from the vlog, I was 7 centimeters dilated, which I was so happy about. I cried happy tears. I was so happy about that, and I felt a huge sense of relief knowing that all of the laboring and all the contractions and everything that I had, that it was for something. So I was super, super happy. We then moved into the birthing and delivery room, which was next door. The contractions again were getting stronger and more frequent, and at this point also I could not talk to anyone through the contractions. I just completely went inside. They were very intense, but again, if I stayed on top of my breath and I just focused on that, and also keeping my mindset positive and excited, knowing that I was soon going to meet our baby, that really, really helped me through. When I was 9 centimeters dilated, so I was almost there, you guys, I was almost at 10 centimeters, almost ready to push, my legs started trembling, like literally vibrating like this and shaking. As I mentioned, one of my techniques to get through the contractions was to bounce and sway on my legs, but I had been doing that for such a long time, and sitting down was not comfortable at all. It was the last thing that I wanted to do. I could lay on my side, but at this point, because the contractions were coming so regularly, I didn't even want to lay down, because as soon as I lay down and I would get a contraction, I would have to go up like on my fours, like on my hands and knees, and again kind of move through the contraction. Like I did not want to stay still. So even though that bouncing and that swaying helped to get me through the contractions, my legs at that point were so exhausted and so tired that again they started trembling, and I literally could not keep standing anymore. So I actually went down on my knees, and my legs really felt tired at this point. It was almost like doing 1,000 squats or like 1,000 lunges. That's the feeling. It was just like complete muscle exhaustion in my legs. So yeah, at this point I was 9 centimeters, and you have to be 10 centimeters to push, but I could no longer stand on my legs, and my body was not progressing. It was stuck at 9 centimeters. But they were telling me if I feel really exhausted and my body doesn't have that energy and that relaxation to keep opening up, that is not going to turn out very well for the delivery. So they suggested I do an epidural to relax my body so that I could lay down, so that my legs could get a break and I could regain some energy, and it could allow my body to open up for that last 1 centimeter. So at this point I said to myself, I want to have a positive and healthy delivery. This is not just about me, but it's also about the health of the baby, because the baby had been in my birth canal now for a very long time, and they told me this was also best for the baby so that it doesn't get too stressed and too squished like in the actual canal for too long. So I decided to go ahead with it, and the anesthesiologist came in, and this was, I feel like during that whole time of her like working and giving me the epidural, I feel like I reached that 10 centimeter point because the contractions were so intense and I had to sit still. This is like the craziest part, I think, of my whole labor, is having to sit on that table when she was working and putting in the needle in my spine, which is such a delicate thing. Like, so many things could go wrong when you get an epidural, and it's such a sensitive procedure. And the fact that I couldn't move and that I was having these insane contractions at this point, I was like, I needed to use every single bit of my focus and of my willpower at that point to stay still through those contractions as she was working on my back. Like, that was one of the most insane experiences ever. I do also want to mention, I know we're like talking a lot about like sensations and pain and all of that, but between the contractions, it is magical, absolutely magical. You feel amazing. You have so much oxytocin in your body. You're about to meet your baby. It's been 9 months. Both you and your partner are super excited. Like, it's the most beautiful thing. But then at the other side, when you get these contractions or these surges or waves, the sensations are so strong. And yes, you can totally do it, but wow, like the swing of emotions, it is really one of the most incredible things and unique things I've ever experienced. So getting back to me sitting on that table and working through those contractions as she was giving me the epidural. So between these contractions, when I had a moment to like think to myself, I was actually kind of excited that I would get some relief for a little bit, because I had really been like, poof, I had been working through those contractions for so many hours. I was like, okay, finally maybe I can relax a little bit, because I thought with an epidural you're pretty much like, you don't feel so many of the sensations, but no, like not in this case, not at this clinic. I kept asking them like, when is it going to kick in? Like how much longer? And they said it takes about 10 minutes for it to work. I think like 15 minutes or so had passed and I still felt every single contraction. It was maybe like, yeah, like 10% less or so, but nothing at all to what I expected. So I was like, okay, here we go again. They did also tell me that the amount that they give is very low, so that you can still feel when your contractions come, and also specifically for when to push and when to not push the baby. So yeah, about 15 minutes after I had gotten the epidural, they checked me. I was 10 centimeters. They also said that another reason they give such a low amount is so that the woman can still move around and change positions. And I think I could even have stood up at that point. Like, my legs were, I felt everything. It was, again, just very mild. But a good thing about that is I was able to move around positions. So I did, I think the one where I progressed the most, where she really came down the most, was when I was on my all fours. So I had my knees on the bed and I had my arms up over the head of the bed, and this is when it was so intense. Like, I could feel every little part of her head like moving down the birth canal, and it was really intense. And I think that's where I made the most progress. Like that's where she came down the most, and then they just coached me through it. So I completely trusted these people who were helping me. Yeah, they had me go in different positions depending on, you know, where the baby's head was. At one point I was also kind of lying on my side and I had my knee up towards me, and then some parts where I was also laying on my back and my knees were like this. I did also ask them to coach me on how to tear the least. So obviously the first thing is that you should only push when you feel a natural urge for your body to push. So not to push past that or to push just randomly. It has to be in sync with your body's urge. And then secondly, she also told me how to breathe. So she told me to breathe in and then hold my breath. So not exhale as I had been doing throughout my labor time. Hold my breath and then push the kind of breath down, but not like exhale it from my nose, but just really use all that power to push down. And then after I had pushed, I could exhale. Also at this point, the feeling and the sensation of pushing a baby out of your vagine and just feeling that expansion and feeling her head, and that the ring of fire is so like wow. When the baby's head was crowning, so it doesn't just go out like completely, and actually in the beginning it kind of goes out, then it goes back in, then it goes out, then it goes back in. It kind of makes that kind of progress. But when the actual head was out, it wasn't going back in. Like it was there for, I don't know, 30 seconds, or I don't even know how long, but it felt like a while. And you just have to wait for your body's urge again to push. So even if the head is like there, you cannot push until your body tells you to push. At this point, I also just kind of like checked out. Like I went to a different dimension, I went to a different place, but at the same time I was so focused and I was so in my body. I know it's like a weird description, but the feeling of that is crazy. I mean, it's extreme but beautiful at the same time. I don't want to, you know, scare anyone or anything, but definitely it's very intense. You can do it. Like everyone watching this, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. But it is so super intense. It's like, oh, it just takes over you. But you're almost so close to meeting your baby at the same time too. So it's like such a unique experience, such a unique feeling. Also, I do want to say, like, just side note, the word pain is something that we associate with something negative. When we feel pain, it's something that we want to stop. So if we hurt ourselves, we bump our knee, we have a headache, we have like a little accident or whatever it is, like we feel pain and our body responds by telling us to stop. So to make that pain go away, because it's like a warning sign, like, hey, something is wrong. But with labor, the pain is different. The pain is actually bringing you forward, and it's bringing you something so beautiful. It's bringing you your baby. Even if I say that it's painful, it's not the kind of pain where you're like, make it stop, make it stop. Anyway, getting back to the crowning and the baby's head being out. When I heard the baby's head is out, I knew, okay, one of the most difficult parts is now over. And then obviously like the body has to come out, but the head is always the most intense. So I did a few more pushes and just really gave it my all, and her body came out, and it was the most incredible thing. Like, oh my God, when they handed her to me, knowing that this little thing was in your belly for so long and now you're holding it in your arms, and just seeing her, like the first thing I thought was, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Like, how can she be so beautiful? And she's so perfect. We did skin to skin and it was so beautiful, and just looking in her eyes, and she was like opening and closing her eyes like that. She was looking at me, and it was just the most beautiful thing in the whole world. And it was worth every single contraction, every bit of pushing and pain and all of that. It was worth it, and I would do it 100 times over again. My placenta came out a few minutes later. I think one of the midwives was like, just give it like a little push, and it just came out. Like, it was very easy. I didn't really feel it, nothing at all compared to actually giving birth to the baby. But yeah, it came out very easily. They examined it, they showed it to me, and it was super interesting for me to see that and just know like that's what supported my baby, and that's what connected me and my baby throughout my pregnancy. So that was very beautiful to see. And also, as she was laying on on me and we were having skin to skin, they were examining me, my skin down there, and I did tear a little bit. But honestly, like with everything going on, you don't feel like, okay, now I'm tearing like 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters. Like it's all so intense, everything going on at once, like the baby coming out, vagina opening, skin stretching, skin ripping, like it's all kind of a blur. But yeah, I had teared a little bit, so they stitched me up, but I was holding the baby at this point and I was just so happy. I was so blissed out that I didn't even care. All of the really hard work was done, and they did give me a local anesthesia as well so that I didn't feel the stitches, which was amazing. But yeah, looking back on my birth, I would definitely say that it was a very positive experience. I felt very in control for most of it. There were a few contractions where I did panic and where I did lose my breath, but there were just a few of those moments. But most of the time, I would say 98% of the time, I felt very on top of my breathing. I felt very in control. I felt very peaceful. And if I could give any advice to anyone else who is planning on giving birth soon, it would just be to really trust and listen to your body and allow your body to do the work. It knows what it's doing, and your only job is to allow it and to stay as calm and peaceful and mindful as possible, and really just focus on your breath, focus on positive affirmations, and know that each contraction only lasts about a minute, and you can do anything for a minute, and you always get a break in between, and those breaks are so beautiful and so blissful. I see that my baby is up now, so I have to go and tend to her. I'm back. Hi. She's up from her nap, she's eaten, and now she's back asleep. Want to say hi to everyone? Oh, did you hear? So she's just gonna relax here with me. Okay, so let's continue. So after I had her and delivered the placenta and they stitched me up, we were rolled into my room, my normal room. My life really changed from that night on. I think I slept maybe, I don't know, 2 hours, or even, probably not even, because I was constantly looking at her, just staring at her. I couldn't believe that she was out and that I had given birth, and just like processing and digesting everything that had happened was just so unreal. We were also breastfeeding and getting the hang of that. And yeah, I stayed at the clinic for 3 days, and it was really helpful because I asked the nurses so many questions and everything. Like Mo and I have this joke where for the first week, everything was like, is she okay? Is she all right? Is she alive? is she breathing? That was like the hashtag, is she okay, of that week, because obviously like it was our first time having a baby, and she's so tiny and delicate, and you just want to make sure that you don't do anything wrong. She does the funniest little faces when she's dreaming and sleeping. She has all these different facial expressions, and sometimes she smiles and then she like frowns. You could just stare at her all day as she's sleeping. She's like a little entertainment all by herself. Yeah, now she is 2 weeks old. We've been back home for about 10 days. It's been such a crazy time. I'm so in love with her, and it's been just the most beautiful thing, like having her on the side of my belly, getting to know her and her little personality. Yeah, but it's also been very challenging. It's been a huge adjustment, and life is completely different now. She feeds every 2 to 3 hours, but usually like every 2 hours, and then she sleeps between. But sometimes she has like deeper sleeps, and then sometimes she's like a little bit more awake, which she is now. But yeah, it's such a crazy time. I think for a woman, it's like the most intense time ever in her life when she's like just given birth, because your whole life changes. It's such an adjustment, but your heart is so full of love and happiness and excitement, but you're also so exhausted from not sleeping. Like I've probably been sleeping 3.5 to 4 hours each night, and not consecutively, like together, for the last, like over 2 weeks basically since she was born. And that combined with healing postpartum, you heal from like giving birth, and then you might have stitches, and then you bleed a lot postpartum. Like you have a period for a few weeks. So you have to like take care of yourself, you have to take care of this new baby, you're learning how to breastfeed, the baby is adjusting to life outside of the womb, the dynamics with your partner changes as well, and at home, like routines and everything, it's such a big change. And I think it's something that is so difficult to describe to someone until you actually experience it. And then again, on top of that, like constantly worrying that everything's okay. Is she, you know, getting enough food? Is she too hot? Is she too cold? Is she still breathing? Is she comfortable? And is this okay to do? Like all these questions. I mean, I've been Googling everything like crazy, and you know, speaking to my mom a lot and just like learning. But I feel like now, 2 weeks in, I feel like a different person than when I gave birth to her in the first few days. I'm much more confident now in myself as a mom. Also just getting to know her, getting to know what she likes. We're kind of getting into a little bit of a routine, which is difficult to do, you know, with a newborn, but at least we have like our evening and kind of morning routine established a little bit. And when I say routine, I just mean like certain approximate times where she will eat and sleep, so then I know when I can count on having a specific amount of time, you know, where I can get things done. But with newborns, like it's very much on demand when they want to eat, when they want to sleep. They have such tiny stomachs, so they can't hold a lot of food. But yeah, we're learning, and I feel like the hardest days are behind us, because when I got home, I was like a fish out of water. Like I didn't even know what to do with myself. It also took her a couple of days to get used to the new environment of being at home, the new sounds, spaces, different lighting compared to when we were at the clinic. Because at the clinic I had like a tiny, you know, little hospital room, and she was no more than like half a meter away from me at all times. And now, you know, in our apartment, the space is different. It took her some time. But yeah, we're just taking it easy. I'm taking it super slow. We're staying at home, and my mom actually came to visit a couple of days ago. That was really nice. We gave her her first bath with my mom as well. She showed us how to do it. Something that's been really helpful that I use multiple times per day is an app that helps me to track her feedings and her sleep, because like I mentioned, she eats every 2 to 3 hours, and when you're super tired and sleep deprived, that's like the last thing you're going to remember is when she ate last. The app is called Huckleberry, and I would highly recommend it. You can also track other things on there like diaper changes and activities, but I really use it for sleep and feedings. And from that, I can kind of predict when she's going to eat next, and we've gotten into, like I said, a little bit of a routine. I will make sure to sit down in an upcoming video and just talk about some of my current favorites and things that I really loved and used, because I have to go and feed her now. But it was really nice to catch up with you guys and just talk about my birth and share my experience. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments, and I will get to them in my next video. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Mwah. Bye guys. Say bye. Say bye everyone. She just put her hand up like this. I don't know if you could see that. She says bye too. Okay, see you guys in the next one.